Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Candy J, coming to you straight from Miami. If this is your first time here, my name is Candy J. I am a certified clinical sexologist through the Dr. Rachel Institute and the American Colleges of Sexology. I specialize in putting the oohs and the ahs back into your relationship, but I do this by helping you to foster better communication in your relationship. I'm also a MOCA marriage facilitator, a premarital counselor, marriage counselor, of course, marriage boot camp coach. What else am I, guys? I'm so many things. Sex educator, um, all of those different things. Bedroom candy consultant, so many things. But this live today is about what? Forgiveness. Okay, so if you have been in a relationship for 5 minutes or 20 years, you know that forgiveness is very, very big. Okay. And if you don't forgive, now listen, notice that I did not say forgive and forget. Okay. The, the brain does not forget. It takes you back to that moment, and it's called triggers, and we'll talk about triggers at a in another live. But sometimes what you feel, you smell, you think, all of those five senses can cause you to go into reaction of something that happened that day that caused you to be upset with your partner. Okay. So for instance, let's your partner cheats on you. That's a major one. And a lot of times people are not able to forgive their partner for cheating, so they go on their separate ways. But forgiveness does not have to mean that there is no recourse, no retaliation for what had happened. What forgiveness is I'm going to acknowledge that someone caused me harm that is now resulting in bitterness that continues to grow and fester, right? And then you're going to, as choosing to forgive and release that person from any form of payment, revenge. And this is for now and forever. And you're like, what? Yeah. hmm That's what forgiveness is. It's acknowledging that someone caused you harm, but you are choosing to release that person from any form of payback, right? But does that mean that you have to forgive and not hold them accountable for what they did? Absolutely not. So let's go back to my cheating situation, right? This person cheated on you. You were in a relationship or in a marriage with them, and now you're like, okay, now what do I do? Okay, do I choose to forgive them and let them off the hook? No, that's not what you're doing. Forgiving them is going to free you. Okay, here's two things that happens in relationships, and especially let's talk about the cheating aspect of things, right? um if I'm going to stay with you, then that's a different type of forgiveness, because I have to forgive and I have to reconcile. I have to forgive and I have to reconcile. And reconciliation is, it clears the air between the two people so that you can repair the bond between you guys. So there's definitely life after the affair, and we'll talk about that in another live. But when we're talking about forgiveness and you're going to stay with that person, which is most people's situation. If things are happening, I'm going to forgive you. Forgiveness is a daily choice. Okay. And the forgiveness is not hard. It's learning to forgive is the hard part for some. Some of us, it comes naturally. I'm a very forgiving person. You do something wrong to me, we talk about it. I get my feelings out because I want to be seen and heard, right? And then, boom, I'm over it and I'm like, okay, boo, or okay, girl, or whoever I'm talking to, let's go get something to eat, let's do whatever, right? Forgiveness comes to me easily. And that may be an affirmation that you need to say, but we'll talk about affirmations a little bit later. But at the beginning, it can be a little difficult. You're not letting them off the hook, right? You are just letting yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, it frees you when you decide to forgive. Okay. So let's go back to forgiveness and you're staying with a person, right? What, no matter what it is, it's cheating, it's gambling, it's lying, whatever it is that you're choosing to forgive and to reconcile the things in your relationship. Okay. So number one, if you're going to choose to forgive and you're going to reconcile, you have to first be vulnerable enough to acknowledge how you're feeling and in front of that person, right? Then the other offending person, your significant other or your spouse, whatever we're talking about right now, they need to be able to understand. And you have to be able to clearly articulate, this is what's going on. This is what's happening to me. And if you're just joining us, guys, my name is Candy J. I am a certified clinical sexologist, counselor, premarital counselor. I specialize in putting the oohs and the ahs back into your relationship, but I do this by helping you to foster better communication. And we're talking about forgiveness right now. So, but we're talking about forgiveness and reconciliation. If you're staying with a person, if you are willing to forgive them for whatever it is, you're number one, you're going to be vulnerable and acknowledge how you're feeling. And you need to clearly articulate that to that person. Okay. Number two, that person has to be able to understand what you are saying and how they hurt you and how they offended you. And it doesn't mean that they won't try to defend themselves. It's okay. But they also have to acknowledge the fact that they hurt you. They caused you some type of harm, whether it be physically or emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is. Okay. Then you have to, as the person that's asking for them to acknowledge all of these things, and the person that is forgiving, you have to believe that you have been seen, you have been heard, and you have been understood. Very, very, very important things. Because if we're going to forgive and we're going to reconcile, those three things have to be in place. You have to be vulnerable and acknowledge how you're feeling, right? You have to be able to clearly articulate yourself, and the offending party has to understand what they did to cause you harm. Okay. And then you have to believe that they understood you, that they have seen you, that they have heard you. And that comes with an apology, and that comes with making a plan and a goal in order for you guys to move forward. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the root of the bitterness, right? Finding the root of the bitterness. Sometimes we're holding on to things that we don't have to hold on to. Forgiveness is definitely for you, right? Um, you want to ask yourself, if you're trying to find where your unforgiveness is, you want to ask yourself, what happened? What was never addressed? What did I slip under the rug? Because unresolved heartache can kill you, y'all. Unresolved heartache can kill you, y'all. If you want to revive a dead relationship, you can do that through forgiveness. Okay? Just because you're not feeling loved anymore, you don't think that things can change. They can. They definitely can. Um, and if you've lost all hope, it could be actually the beginning of a brand new relationship, which means it can be more in depth. It can have more intimacy than you can ever imagine, but it begins with forgiveness. If you're not willing to forgive yourself and the other person, now you're like, well, if they did something to me, then why am I forgiving myself? Because let's just keep it real. You didn't do everything right. Nope. Just because they hurt you doesn't mean that you magically did everything right in the relationship. No, it doesn't, because nobody's perfect. However, you have to be willing to forgive yourself and that other person in the relationship. So I've been before you long. I've taken up too much more of your time, too much of your time. I'll be back to talk a little bit more about forgiveness later on today, guys. But thank you so much for listening. Listen, make sure you like, subscribe, and what? Ring that bell so that you can find out all of the great tips here, mental health, marriage, sex education. That's what this platform is all about, and that is what I'll continue to use it for, guys. So again, this has been your girl Candy J. Holler at me.